Have you ever experienced a dark night of the soul? Have you ever had a night or day where just whatever you're going through was just so hard, so scary, so terrifying that it brought you basically to your knees? If not literally, then metaphorically to your knees. Um, I'm going to share with you, I just had an experience like this, and I'm going to share it with you, and then some things that helped me that might help you if you experience something like this in the future. So, hi, welcome back to the channel, guys. I'm Allison. Um, so, I was thinking about that. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie or read the book, Eat, Pray, Love. There's a scene in which the protagonist basically has a really difficult night. She's deciding whether or not to leave her husband and embark out on her own in her life. And she goes into the bathroom one night and she can't sleep and she's just terrified. And she basically, has a long prayer with God basically and just kind of, purges her soul in the bathroom and comes to a decision basically out of that experience. Well, it's a little dramatic. It's not always quite happen, doesn't always quite happen that way, but basically when you have a dark night of the soul like that, it's over something really intense in your life. It may be a decision you have to make that is life-changing. It may be illness or a struggle with your health, and that that would do it, or worry about someone else that you care about in your life. So there's various things that will provoke a dark night of the soul, but it's a scary, scary thing. And so I'll tell you very briefly, not going into a tremendous amount of detail, what happened to me just within this past week, basically. So as you know, I've had some health issues, especially since I had COVID at the beginning of August. And basically, it really just did something to me. I think I'm going through some long symptoms of that, and I think that's probably what my throat issue has been related to. For those of you who've watched my previous videos, you know that I've actually had I wouldn't call it a sore throat because it's not sore. There's something affecting kind of the right side of my throat, like just my upper throat. Basically, it's not my tonsils. They've looked at my tonsils. But something just makes it feel like there's something like in there, very small, but it's enough to just kind of always irritate me. And then sometimes it causes some pain going up into my eustachian tube on the right side over here. And sometimes it feels like this little pinching sensation right back here. So it's a weird symptom. And the thing is, it never goes away totally, but it's lighter some days and some days it's more intense, and it doesn't seem to make any sense. Doesn't matter what I eat or drink or do or anything. And for the most part, I haven't felt really ill or anything like that. It's just this ongoing throat issue. So just a few days ago on a Sunday, basically, it was acting up that night. That day it hadn't been that bad, but that night it was just kind of acting up. And normally I can sleep fine, and so that, isn't usually an issue. But that night I couldn't get to sleep because it just felt like there was something, like if you eat something and you get something in your throat, or you have phlegm or something in your throat or whatever. It just kind of felt like that, but I couldn't clear it. And I started to panic. And I didn't really have what I would say is a full-fledged panic attack, but I started to panic, realizing I wouldn't be able to sleep. I didn't know what to do about it. This thing has been going on 2.5 months, and it's really wearing me down. I mean, I'm just being real with you. This channel is all about being real, and it is wearing me down. And so I really went into just a fear response. I guess that's the best way I can describe it. I basically just started pacing. First, I was kind of pacing the floor, and I had the lights off in my room and stuff like that. I was pacing the floor. I was crying at times. At some point, I started literally shaking from fear, and I actually had to turn up the heat in my apartment just because and it wasn't from being chilled or having a fever. I was so cold from being terrified. And I really didn't know what to do. I thought about going to the emergency room, and I thought, well, what are they going to do? I can swallow, I can breathe. I'm not in danger of, dying at the moment. And, so I kind of talked myself down from it. And eventually the sensation got a little less and I got really tired and I was able to fall asleep about 2 in the morning. But the total time of fear was probably about 3, 4 hours maybe. And it kind of was in waves. Like I'd feel really afraid and then I'd kind of take some breaths and I'd kind of calm it a bit and then it would kind of rise up in me again. And I had not had something like that in a long, long time. Like I don't remember the last time I've had like a fear response like that. And if you've ever had it, whether it's caused from a physical thing or an emotional thing or grief or whatever it is, you know what I'm talking about. It's like in the moment, it is really hard to control completely. I actually did think about meditating at some point during that time, but I was so far gone, there's no way I could have meditated. I did try, as I say, doing some deep breathing, which helped a bit, just a little bit. Anyway, I got through it. I got to sleep. I will tell you a little bit more at the end of this video about kind of an addendum to this, but that's kind of what happened during that night. And it was very scary. And like I said, for those of you who may have been through something like this, it is a terrifying thing to go through. It's absolutely terrifying. But I did get through it. And the next day I, ended up kind of going into full action and called around to the doctors and all that, because I've had a delay in my referral to an ENT doctor, which has been very frustrating. I should have been seen 3 weeks ago, but it's just been a whole cluster over that. So, but I got into action and I thought, well, I've just got to, I've got to do something. But it made me think after all this, after I got through all this, about the things that help when you're going through a dark night of the soul. And that's why I'm really making this video. As I said before, this channel is all about being real. And so I know that many of you go through these dark nights for whatever the reason, whatever the cause. And it is really important to have some tools that will help you get through that. So I kind of thought about it afterwards and realized the things that did help, but also might help in future if I went through it or if someone else went through it. Well, the first one I've already said, which is to breathe. It is very important to breathe. And I mean deeply. You breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth, to the count of, you can do it to the count of 4, count of 8, there's different techniques about that. But basically breathe in slowly. I like to hold it for a couple of seconds and then breathe out. And it does help calm your system down a bit. I think that's probably, the most important tool you can use. The second one is to pray. I was praying that night, and I'm sure a lot of people that go through it pray. Now, you can pray depends on your belief system, whether you're religious or spiritual or whatever, but you pray. And praying helps. It does help because it does make you feel like there's someone else besides you that is taking care of things. And I am a firm believer in that. I do believe that there is a God. So for me, I don't belong to a specific religion, but I do believe in God. And so therefore, I do believe that God is there and God, will help us through something if we ask for help. So for me, that helps to do a prayer. The other thing that helps is to actually, talk to whoever else you think might be there for you. I mean, an actual person. So if there's someone you can call and it's not, for me, it was kind of in the middle of the night. I wasn't going to burden a couple of my friends with this. I really wasn't. I ended up talking to him the next day. But if there is someone that you know is good in a crisis, good at handling this, give them a call, whether it's a family member or a friend. That really can help kind of talk you down from a situation such as this. The other thing I think that really helps, and you can't really do it when you're in the thick of it, in the worst of it, but afterwards, just do what I did on the next morning, which is you do a plan of action. You come up with, okay, what do I need to do? What is in my control? Remember, I've done a previous video about things out of your control, but what is in your control? In other words, how can you speed up the process? What can you do to make things easier for yourself? And that's something I did the next morning. The other thing you can do is, in the midst of it, pace, walk, move. It is actually good, rather than to just sit there or lay there in bed or whatever, to actually get up and move. Physically move your body. That helps your system kind of metabolize whatever's going on with it, with the fear. And I was doing quite a bit of the pacing at times that night, and it did seem to help somewhat. So I encourage that. So those are my things that I think will help when you're going through that kind of dark night of the soul. You basically helping deal with some sort of internal crisis that you're going through. And I really hope that you go through very few of these, if any, in your life. I have not been through a ton of them, but I tell you, when I have one, it shakes me to the core. So it is very important to know the tools to use to do that. So I said it when I was talking about what I was going through earlier. I have an addendum to this, and that is that I actually did end up going to the emergency room about 2-3 days later, mainly because I started having, well, I sensed that I was having a really low grade fever. It was very low grade, like just a little bit off. And that has actually happened again, off and on, since I had the virus back in August. And so it kind of made me think, well, what if I have some sort of infection in my throat or something like that? And I wanted to just go to urgent care, but I live in a small town. Urgent care closed early and they couldn't see anybody. So I ended up going to the ER, which I hate doing, but you know, at least they were able to rule out some things. They did some swabs and tests to make sure I didn't have some other virus going on. And they checked my vitals and they looked in my throat, didn't see anything concerning. So, you know, I know to still follow up for me with an ENT. Gosh only knows when that will be at this point. Love the medical system, the healthcare system in this country. Anyway, I say that sarcastically, by the way. So if any of you are medical professionals, I apologize. You're probably great at it, but the system itself sucks. So anyway, hopefully it will get in soon. I don't like to share too much of the physical stuff because I think that I don't even do that with the people closest to me. Like, they know what's going on, but I don't talk about it incessantly. And I didn't want to come on here and just, you know, complain about something. I did this for a purpose, because when you go through a difficult night like that, it is really important to have some tools to deal with it. And hopefully this has helped you today. If it has, please tap that like button and subscribe to the channel. And please share this video or any of the other videos I've made with with people that you think will get something out of it. That would really be great for them, and it's great for my channel. Anyway, I appreciate it. Until next time, take care, be well, keep moving forward. Hope you don't have to deal with the dark night anytime soon, okay? Until next time, take care, bye.